We will use nuclear weapons whenever we feel it necessary to protect our vital interests. Our nuclear stockpile is several times that of the Soviet Union, and we will use either tactical weapons or strategic weapons in whatever quantities, wherever, whenever it's necessary to protect this nation and its interests.
Nuclear warheads are not weapons. They have no military use whatsoever, excepting only to deter one's opponent from using nuclear weapons.
In June 1967, McNamara and President Johnson met Soviet Premier Kosygin at Glassboro, New Jersey, to discuss the Vietnam War. They also tried to convince him that both sides should abandon efforts to defend against missiles.
And the president was becoming very, very frustrated, seeking to make his argument with Kosygin. Finally, he turned to me and said, "Bob, for God's sakes, you tell Kosygin what's wrong with their plan." So I said, "If you proceed with that anti-ballistic missile system deployment, our response will not be, should not be, to deploy a similar system. That would be a waste. I hope we don't do that. But our response will be to expand our offensive weapons in order that we may maintain that deterrent, in order that after you strike us, we'll now have sufficient weapons to launch against you, to penetrate your defense, accepting that some of them will be destroyed by that defense, and a sufficient number will penetrate to inflict unacceptable damage on you. That will be what we will do. It's not in our interest or your interest to do that. The way to stop that is for both of us to agree today that we will engage in talks leading to a treaty that will prohibit deployment of anti-ballistic missile systems, and which, by the way, we hope will be followed by a treaty that will limit offensive systems. He absolutely exploded. The blood rose into his face, his veins swelled, he pounded the table, and he said he could barely talk, he was so emotional. He said, "Defense is moral, offense is immoral." And he believed it.
And probably we have been educated by McNamara. We have been educated that who showed that in the nuclear age, the difference between offense and defense actually ceases to exist. And we started to think really in a quite a new way.
McNamara did influence Soviet thinking at Glassboro.
The blunt fact is then that neither the Soviet Union nor the United States can attack the other without being destroyed in retaliation. And it's precisely this mutual capability for destruction that provides us both with the strongest possible motives to avoid a nuclear war.
Each side is deterred by the threat of retaliation. The legacy of the McNamara years is a standoff called MAD, mutual deterrence through mutually assured destruction. President Johnson awarded McNamara the Medal of Freedom in February 1968. By then, the Vietnam War dominated McNamara's attention. When his support for the war wavered, he and Johnson parted.
On behalf of your fellow Americans, all of them, your country salutes you.
Robert McNamara had become an expert on defense, and a controversial one. The conclusions he drew on the role of nuclear weapons focus the strategic debate today.
There were certain individuals then, and there are today, who believe nuclear warheads are weapons, that they can be used in military operations. That is absolutely wrong. Nuclear warheads are not weapons. They have no military use whatsoever, excepting only to deter one's opponent from using nuclear weapons.
When he began his career, McNamara had sought to use nuclear weapons in a limited way. But 7 years in the Pentagon convinced McNamara this could not be done, not without unleashing a total nuclear war.